You don't have to come into money. You don't have to be born of money. But you got to live within your means and start packing that money away, because it's all about the time value of money and the magic of compounding. I can tell you 3 places to never invest. First one would be anything associated with a religious organization. Okay. Second worst people are insurance agents. And the third worst is a bank.
What would you tell yourself that could change your life, when you were a kid, 21 years old? One-liner, what do you got?
Best life advice, career and otherwise, would be to keep my mouth shut more.
So how much Bitcoin do you own?
0.
How much are you going to buy?
0.
Trump or Biden?
There's no doubt I would have to go with Biden.
Welcome back to another episode of So What's Your Goal? I'm your host, Travis Otto, and we're coming to you live from my studio today in Las Vegas. Now, you guys are going to want to pay attention to this podcast today because we truly have an exceptional guest with us, and it's one that can give you a little bit of help with your finances. Now, lately, we've been getting a lot of new listeners, a lot of new viewers out there. So if you're new to the show, stick through to the end because I can assure you that you're going to learn something that will improve your life in at least one of these 3 categories: your health, your money, or your relationships. But most importantly, you'll be inspired to take action. From the rural landscapes of Lancaster, Minnesota to the bustling lights of Las Vegas, Nevada, Fred Wolski joins us with a lifetime of expertise in finance and a passion for philanthropy. Starting out in the railroad tracks and forging a path through corporate America into the realms of investing and helping others, Fred is here to share his profound insights on personal finance and how he retired by the age of 39, and the importance of giving back and how turning life's errors into educational gold. Fred, we're thrilled to have you on the show.
Thanks.
Good introduction.
It's a great introduction.
Yeah. So
you maybe can do my eulogy too.
Sure, no problem. I got you.
All right.
So tell us about, you started off in the railroads. Not many people have much. I don't think I know anybody who's ever had any experience in the railroads other than you.
Well, the railroad industry kind of built this country, and
that's true.
And my motivation wasn't anything other than money.
Yeah,
I started working trying to make a buck, when I was 12 or 13. So, and I actually had the only garbage route dray service in our little town.
Yeah,
when I was a sophomore, junior, and senior in high school. So I was Mr. Garbage Man, but
so you're the garbage man.
Yeah.
Okay. So your first job was picking up garbage.
Picking up really nasty garbage. Yes.
All right, and then that inspired you to do more manual labor.
I've always been looking for a buck. I'm sorry. That's me. I don't know if it's in the genes.
Yeah.
Maybe you have it too. I don't know. But,
okay.
And the best paying thing around, even though I had to lie to get the job about my age, was the railroad. At that time I probably paid $3 an hour.
Yeah.
Which was phenomenal versus 45 cents.
So you're getting paid 45 cents an hour to pick up trash?
Well, I don't really know. I never really looked at the numbers, but it kept me busy and had some money coming in. And it wasn't all that lucrative, but it was money. So
yeah, nonetheless. So what did you do for the railroads when you got started, and how did you go from working on railroads to entering in, corporate America?
Okay. Started on the track. Probably the nastiest job there is, with all the toxins and the.
So when I think of the track, I think pick, laying the railroads down,
absolutely.
That sort of stuff. That's what you did?
That is absolutely.
Wow, that's cool.
All the nasty jobs on the railroad, that has to be the nastiest. And
okay.
I guess I've gravitated to that. Anyway.
Okay. Well, thank God you didn't stick with that.
Yeah. So I started on the track and then did various jobs there, extra gangs. I actually did something called a weed mower.
Okay.
If you've ever seen those cruising down the tracks, I did that for a couple of years, couple summers.
I imagine it keeps the weeds off the tracks.
Keeps the weeds off the tracks.
Okay.
Yep. And but anyway, very nasty job, very backbreaking, very physical. But it paid well. Good benefits. Money was money, and then it allowed me to go to school. Started school, and. It came about kind of by coincidence. I ended up working where my career path took me. My golf partner was the Sioux Line agent, which I started work for the Sioux Line Railroad Company.
Okay.
And he was the agent up at Noyes, the border crossing. And I made a joke one time that he had an extra job he was trying to fill. And I said, well, God, why didn't you think of your golf partner when you were going to fill that job?
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I hear him running up the stairs to my apartment in downtown Lancaster. And he says, "You have an interview tomorrow." and so begins my career with Burlington Northern.
Okay.
And that changed over from the track to a clerical capacity. And that allowed me to move to Grand Forks, where I was able to finish up my degree at the University of North Dakota.
So what'd you get a degree in?
A degree in general management.
Okay.
And also a marketing major also.
So marketing and general management. Those are good career choices or good, areas to have experience in. So you started working for the railroad, then you got more corporate, like behind the scenes position still for another railroad? Or?
Yeah, well, it was always with Burlington Northern. At
Okay.
least that was my second railroad. And
Are they still called Burlington Northern? Are they still
no,
around?
I think now Warren Buffett owns them, which I own a little piece of Warren Buffett too. But it's now called Burlington Northern Santa Fe, BNSF.
Okay, because I've heard of Santa Fe railroads.
Yeah,
but,
I think there always used to be a pissing contest between Union Pacific and Burlington Northern to be the largest.
Yeah.
And I think BNSF is still the largest, but...
Okay. So then what did you do once you got that clerical job? What was your job?
I primarily worked in what I guess you would call labor relations. Mm-hmm. And the superintendent of the terminal in Grand Forks took a shine to me. And he created a job for me.
Okay.
And basically, I dealt with anybody in the railroad industry would understand this, called cut slips. I would do the payroll, and if an engineer or a brakeman or somebody put in some sort of a crazy ass claim, then I would dig out these books that covered all of the labor agreements and try to determine if it was payable or not. And 90% of them were not payable. So
yeah,
I was kind of hated by the brakemen and the engineers.
I could imagine, yeah.
That was my job.
Yeah.
The superintendent loved me. And, of course, that led to them calling me down to corporate in St. Paul at the time.
So at what age did you get that job?
What age?
Yeah, when did you start that?
When did I go in corporate?
Yeah.
I would say at about 26 or 27.
26, 27. So was it an exceptionally well-paying job? Like, I don't know when this was or...
It would have been about in 1982, 83.
Yeah.
And I would say it probably paid $25,000.
What's that in today's money?
Probably
today's
50.
money.
It wasn't that much. It was it was an entry-level job.
Okay, so it was a normal job. So you're making $50,000 a year. Okay. And so how did you go from, making $50,000 a year to being retired by age 39? Or semi-retired by age 39.
Well, you're missing the common thread that I pointed out to you.
All right.
I'm always interested in a buck.
All right.
So investing has always been part of my makeup. As a matter of fact, when I first got interested in stocks and such, and financial instruments, it really came about, obviously trying to make money, but one day I picked up or got a copy of the year-end Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
And and at the year-end, they have a stock table there. And it shows, what the high, what the low, and what it closed at for the year. Mm-hmm. And I looked at that and I thought, gosh, each of these stocks has a variance of anywhere from 25% to 300%.
Yeah.
You don't have to be too smart, as long as you pick the right stock to make some money in that kind of a variance. Yeah. And, of course, that's kind of what got me going in terms of instead of busting my ass hauling garbage, how about if I let my money make some money for me? And that's why I've always been drawn to investing.
So it's always been drawn to invest. So when did you start investing?
21. That's the earliest you can do it.
Earliest you can do it. Okay. So right out the get-go, you knew you wanted to invest.
Absolutely.
Straight away. How'd you learn about it?
All pretty much self-taught. You got to remember where I came from. I mean, the closest real library was probably 90 miles away.
I don't think anybody picking up garbage is really thinking about picking stocks, or maybe it's so backbreaking that you're like, God, there's got to be an easier way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So
when I was when I did that, instead of having Farrah Fawcett on my wall in my bedroom, I had the stock tables.
Okay, so you've been nerding out since day one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you started investing at 21. Did you start with, did your parents leave you a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
We were dead broke, paycheck to paycheck family.
So when you started, did you have 10, 20 grand to get started with?
Oh God, no.
No? How much did you start with?
I clipped coupon every time I could get a buck.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it was, I would pack it away in savings.
Yeah.
And I suppose probably my first investment was less than $1,000. Probably was in Sioux Line Railroad Company, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not
You just bought it because what you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that just goes to my point that I try to impart upon other youngsters, is that you don't have to come into money. You don't have to be born of money, but you gotta live within your means and start packing that money away, because it's all about the time value of money and the magic of compounding.
Yeah. No, compound interest will definitely change your life.
You bet. You bet.
Absolutely can. And I think that's a big problem, that you see everywhere, is everybody's trying to look rich,
Yeah.
and they're not really. They're just blowing money. Because since I've been, talking with you and working with you, now I just think about, God, would I rather spend $1,000 a month on, a new car, or would I rather just take $1,000 a month and invest it, And it's just like those little tiny, minute left or right decisions that just compound over time. And, I could get the car or I could put the money away. But right now it's like, I'm not worth hundreds of millions of dollars yet. But,
you could be.
I could be if I just play my cards right and put the right things away. And now that's not saying that I don't live like a comfortable life. Like I do what I want to do.
Right.
But I don't make stupid decisions, At this point in my life, which I think most people under probably 50 should be, making decisions that add to wealth rather than take away.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing. So did you have any mentors when you got into investing?
I did not. I was actually thinking about that this morning. You were probably going to ask me that. And I did not have any mentors. I mean, I don't know. There's nobody in Lancaster, Minnesota, other than the dentist that might have had a few bucks.
Yeah.
And no, I didn't. Over the years, I've kind of enjoyed, Warren Buffett and his partner,
Charlie Munger.
Yeah, I love their sayings, and so it's so refreshing to hear.
Yeah. So you've just self-taught, self-guided. You read a lot, I'm sure.
Yes.
Read tons.
Yes.
Did you go to any shows or seminars or anything like that?
No.
Nothing? All right, so it doesn't take much. You probably have everything that you need at your fingertips for free, which is your favorite 4-letter word, right? Is free.
FRE is my favorite 4-letter word, without a doubt.
What about guys like Dave Ramsey? Do you follow Dave Ramsey at all?
I have just recently heard about the guy.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
Yeah, I know, because a couple of people, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago said, well, do you know Dave Ramsey? You follow his? And I said, I have no idea who the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
And when I moved here to Vegas, to the Southwest, I think he has a radio show on, and probably more.
Yeah,
and
he's
so
all over social media
I am familiar
now.
with him now. He's kind of in the same category as Susie Orman.
Okay.
They have valuable things to say. I just don't like their delivery. And
sure.
Dave Ramsey, nothing against religion people, but there's finances and then there's religion. If you want to make your money and give it to a religion, I'm all for that, but I don't think the two mix.
Sure, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, money's money. I don't know I haven't followed too much with Dave Ramsey because I think my view of Dave Ramsey has been he talks to people not so much about making money, but so much more about saving it, And right. I think which there is an art to be learned of how to save money. Actually, there is.
Yep.
But I focus most of my life just figuring out how to try to make it, and just if I don't have enough, I'll just make more. But now I'm okay, I'm not making enough, but now I should probably be saving some to put away.
I think I need a little more time with you. I think we'll change that thought process.
Yeah, but I guess it's probably more powerful to save your money than it is to make more. But I don't know. It's one of those things. So interesting. So with everything that's kind of changing now, all over the internet, social media, the news, there's one topic that shines out with investing, and that's cryptocurrency. So how much Bitcoin do you own?
0.
How much are you going to buy?
0.
What's going to happen to the price of Bitcoin?
I have no idea. It's an imaginary, I kind of make the parallel between that and the Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really lose it unless you're stupid enough to buy it.
I mean, I think what I've heard a lot of people say is like, so you're an older guy. And so a lot of the people say that, the younger guys my age are like, oh, the old guys, they just don't understand it.
Correct.
Have you done any research on it to like understand it or disagree with it?
Of course, I looked at it. I mean, because it's the new shiny object.
Yeah.
But there's nothing. It has no inherent value. What I've found primarily is it's people are trying to sell it based on the technology, the blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is wonderful. But I don't think coupling that with imaginary money, I don't.
What about the people who say that, it's transparency, it's open, it's honest, it's going to replace the dollar, and it's a one world currency? What about those?
I would say one
people?
word: bullshit.
Okay, so you're not a fan of the cryptocurrencies.
Well, it's difficult to sell me a jar of nothing.
Yeah. And your look, like from talking with you over the last year or so and working with you, has been, you don't. I think there was an eye-opening moment for me since we've been talking and learning together. Is you're not investing in a stock when you buy a stock. You're investing in a company.
Correct.
And until I started talking to you and listening and learning how you've done things, I never really thought about as buying a stock as buying a company, and that you should know everything that there is to know about that company because you own a piece of it.
Absolutely.
And so if you own part of the company, you're going to want to know what's happening at your company, right?
Correct.
And I think that's a little switch that a lot of people don't know or don't understand. And I personally, do have some Bitcoin, but I've only bought it in small increments that I just, if it goes up, the only reason why I'm thinking it's going to go up is just because it's hype. It's like one of those things, like all the sheeple are following the Bitcoin. Sure. And so they're just going to keep buying it. And somebody is going to lose at some point in time. I don't know who, but it's probably going to be the majority of the people who buy it. But I just kind of want to have a dog in the race just for fun to pay attention to it.
That's fine. Some people do that,
But it's not one of those things you can look at and go, oh, this is a company. Here's its, fundamentals. This is why they're doing good. This is why they're doing bad. It's just like all arbitrary, And there's going to be a lot of hate on that comment right there.
I know. I'm sorry. All you people that want to buy Bitcoin, go for it.
So what about the people who say, Bitcoin is like, buying gold? It's a store of wealth.
There's a big difference. Mm-hmm. Gold, you can actually hold in your hand. You can actually see it. What do you got with Bitcoin?
You got a crypto wallet. Yeah. If your phone turns off.
Bitcoin is kind of like religion.
Yeah.
Whenever you question religion, they say, well, your faith isn't strong enough. Okay.
That's a good analogy. Yeah. You just got to believe in the Bitcoin.
You have to believe in
all praise the Bitcoin.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's funny. So do you buy gold then?
I don't think I would ever buy gold for several reasons.
Okay.
But I do occasionally, and it's very, very limited, have gold mining stocks.
Okay.
Because the gold basically, there's so many things wrong with holding physical gold, but I don't think we have an hour to get into all that.
Because gold is thought of as like a store of wealth.
Yep.
And I'm assuming your answer is probably going to be, well, it's not really, your money's not flowing or operating or gaining interest really,
Correct.
Is what it is. So you're not earning dividends on gold. You're just fluctuating with the value of gold, which is again determined by a ton of different factors.
Exactly.
Not so much the fundamentals of how they're doing business,
Give me one share of Starbucks. I hate Starbucks personally, but I'd love to be the person selling Starbucks.
Yeah.
Who the hell pays $5 for a cup of coffee and throws on a tip? Not me.
Yeah. Do you tip for coffees if you ever buy coffees?
I'm a very good tipper.
Okay.
Wherever I tip.
How much do you think you should tip somebody at a restaurant?
I usually give about 30% or more, depending upon service.
So you are a good tipper. I would say 20, but if you're going 30, then you really liked them, or you're just generous with your tips. Yeah. So okay. And so you don't buy gold. We already talked about that. So what are so going back to you. So let's talk a little bit more about you and your finances and that sort of stuff. So you retired at age 39 and semi-retired. From what I know. Okay, well, tell me what happened when at 39. What was your last day of work? Where were you at? Financially, where was your head? What was your game plan?
Well, I left. I ended up in Fort Worth, Texas for a brief period of time.
Yeah.
At the new headquarters of Burlington Northern at the time. Mm-hmm. And I had kind of decided I was done with that. Actually, I don't know if you want to know, but when I was in management there, they referred to me as the nuclear option.
Okay.
So if there was an issue that came up and people didn't have the guts to ask the hard questions, they'd say, let's bring in Wolski.
So what would you do?
Well, I just look at the facts. And
yeah.
I wasn't probably very polite, and which kind of goes to my saying it doesn't cost you anything to be polite.
Sure.
But that's not how I built my career. Anyway, you were asking where I was and where I was going. I ended up in Kansas City, working for Kansas City Southern Industries. They have a small railroad, but they're also the largest processor of mutual fund transactions in the world.
Okay. One
of the companies is DST Systems, and Janus, if you've heard of them, they have mutual funds.
Okay.
I had tired of the work thing I had done. I had a lot of fun in corporate America.
You had fun in corporate America.
I did.
Okay.
I did. I traveled a lot. I knew from the start I wasn't going to sit around for the gold watch. I didn't want to be the president.
Yeah.
I wanted to make my money, save it, invest it, and get the hell out of Dodge.
Okay.
And what I did was May 21st, 1993, actually, I remember. Mm-hmm. And I had a little lake cabin up in Kitson County where I live. And I moved up to my lake place up in Kitson County near Lancaster.
Yeah.
And what was the rest of that question?
So you quit and you bought your lake house, or you moved up?
I have the lake house. See, I'm very good about this. I'm always planning for the future.
Sure.
And I inherited that, I got it very cheaply from my great uncle.
Okay.
A lot. So I built a new cabin on it, a new A-frame, and I paid as I went. In other words, I didn't take out a loan.
So you seller financed it.
I did, yes.
So he financed it for you. Did he give you a good interest rate?
I didn't finance it.
Oh, you didn't finance it?
I paid for it as I did it.
Oh, okay.
So if I didn't have the money, I didn't, if I had stick 5 or 10 grand in it.
So you didn't go to any debt. You just, cash.
Did not. I don't like debt. Debt is not good. Very seldom is debt good.
What about people who say that there's good types of debt and bad types of debt?
I think the only case you can make for good debt is if you, it's kind of like leverage in the stock market or margin. The only leverage is good is the one where you're winning. Mm-hmm. If you've got a business and you borrow money and you've got a great business and, you're returning more than the 8 or 10% a year that you're paying, that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. The downside is if you're not making money. I mean, on an individual level, you'd have to be talking about maybe a house.
Maybe.
Because
I've heard like people like I don't know if you know who they are, but just big real estate guys like Grant Cardone, is a big advocate for this. He says like buying a house is one of the worst investments that you can make, because he's like, you don't get any depreciation. You have to pay if something breaks. You're not getting any income from it. And so do you have similar views with, homes being a good investment or a bad investment?
As a personal residence, I would say he's probably correct. It almost makes more sense to rent for a long period of time, if not your entire life. Although that doesn't sit in the craw very well of most people in the US of A.
Yeah.
Because even politicians, they talk about how much home ownership you have. It's kind of a...
Well, I think it's an agenda. It's a whole hidden agenda. Home ownership, the American dream, is like, dude, hey, go out there, borrow some money, get in debt, pay those interest rates, baby. We need that interest money. And I think that's kind of more and more what it's about. The American white picket fence with the house and the dog and the kids is more about, good debt payer, interest.
Well, they got you by the short hairs. How are you going to get out? I mean, you got
you got 30-year mortgage, dude.
If you've already got a house payment, you're stupid enough to do a car payment. I mean, and that anybody that has a car payment that's over 25 is a loser. My personal opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. I have another good one for you. Okay, so we didn't finish this question up here. So when you quit, right? Did you have millions of dollars when you quit?
No, I think when you I was always cognizant of my net worth.
Yeah.
I would do that.
I think most people don't know their net worth.
No, and that's a big mistake. I think you need to do 2 pieces of paper. It's very simple, but it's very heart-wrenching for most people. One is the budget, historical budget. You don't have to do a budget to follow it month by month, but you need to do a historical budget so you know how stupid your spending is.
Yeah.
And once you realize that, you can make the corrections. The other half is your net worth, as in, here's what I own, here's what I owe on it.
Yeah, so for the people who don't know what a net worth is, right, you basically add up all of your liabilities. Your liabilities be how much you owe on your house, how much you owe on your car, any credit card bills,
right.
Medical bills, that sort of stuff, just like debt, long-term, short-term debt. You add that all up, and then you add up however much everything is worth. How much is your car worth? How much is your house worth? How much money you have in the bank? And if your net worth is less than 1, basically if you have more debt than you have, assets, then you have a negative net worth. I bet most people have a negative net worth.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. But yeah, it's kind of I've helped people probably for maybe 30, 40 years maybe now. I hate to say that. That's how damn old I am. But the first thing I sit down with them, we usually have a pretty long conversation. I said, but if you want me to help you, first of all, do a budget, historical budget, how you're spending your money.
Yeah.
And number 2, let's find out what you're worth. If you got positive or negative net worth, I said. And going forward, if you decide to listen to me, and a lot of people don't, obviously.
Yeah.
If you decide to listen to me, we'll use your net worth as your scorecard. Once a year updated.
Yeah.
Let's see if we're making progress.
Yeah, going in the right direction or the wrong direction. And if they go in the wrong direction, they're not listening to anything you're saying.
Yeah, they're done. I don't have any time for them.
Yeah. You're going to be stupid. Don't talk to me.
Yes, you cannot help people that don't want to be helped. So
that's true. So what are you've talked to a lot of people for 30, 40 years, helping out with their investments and their finances. And what are the 3 things that you see people make the most, what are the 3 most common mistakes that you see people make when it comes to their finances? If you had to categorize them.
Boy, there's so many. I guess the biggest one is that I see that is probably the most detrimental is having vehicle payment.
So car payments, okay.
And I think if you're happy and you've bought into that 1950 mentality that I'm always going to have a car payment, you are destined to be a loser. You are not going to, trust me, you are.
Doesn't pencil.
Yeah, it's horrible. I think that's the biggest mistake.
Okay.
The second biggest one, kind of generally speaking, would be not living within your means. I've helped welfare mothers save money. That just goes to show you just about anybody can do it.
Yeah.
With a little bit of ambition. Yeah,
ambition
exactly.
and discipline,
Yeah.
How about the last one, third one?
Oh, boy.
We got car payments. We got living within your means.
There's so many little ones. Going to Starbucks and paying $6 a day.
So your small
Add
habits.
that up over a year's time and you're a multimillionaire.
Between your car payments, your...
Recreational dining, I think, is a bad one for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
Definitely. So top 3 things are car payments.
Yep.
Number 1, don't have a car payment. Number 2, live within your means. And number 3, recreational dining.
Yeah,
Being
let's
the
go with
top 3
recreational
mistakes.
dining. I hate
top
that.
3 mistakes. Yeah. Interesting. So when it comes to, do you have some rules? What's, in your opinion, what's the most important rule, with investing?
In terms of financial instruments?
Yeah, financial investing. What's your, do you have a golden rule?
God, I have so many rules.
Share one with somebody who's just starting out and they're trying to figure out, I think we've shared a lot actually already with them.
Yeah.
If they can just, create a personal budget, live within their means,
Right. I think, number one, in line with the 2 pieces of paper is take on the 3rd piece of paper, put down your goals. What are you trying to achieve in your life,
Yeah.
And clearly you don't have to always make it correct. You don't have to succeed, but, if you've got a 5 or 10 year plan, you want to be president or you want to have 300 million, yeah, you might have a little difficulty, if you're starting at square one, but I would say put it on paper because that kind of, sets the marker out there for you.
Yeah. So write down your goals, basically.
Yeah.
Have a plan.
Write your goals down. Yeah.
Have a plan. So I still feel like we haven't really answered this question since we've been talking. Cause like, I'm kind of curious. So like when you quit your job and you retired at 39,
right.
like there's people out there who want to, retire early, and so how can you retire early at 39 when you didn't have millions of dollars? Like what was,
well, I didn't have millions of dollars, and I think I didn't avoid the question, but I probably sidetracked here on how I got there.
Yeah.
My net worth at that time, I think, was maybe $400,000, and that included I had some farmland, the lake cabin, and then savings, and then of course I was a big believer in the 401k because when I started work, that's just about the same time that the 401k came into being.
Okay.
And that was, if you know the history of that, that was a kind of a fluke clause in the IRS regs that the highly paid people at IBM found. And that's where that all came about.
Got it. I didn't know the history of that.
And that morphed into corporate America seeing that and going, hey, this is a great idea. We can get rid of our defined pension benefits and put it off on the employee. And of course, I took advantage of that. So,
yeah. So you had your 401k, you had some land, you had a house, and some cash in the bank invested, working for you. And so when you quit, your plan was just to live well within your means, live off of your investments.
Correct.
So how much money do you need? I mean, so when did you retire? What year was that? What year did you retire?
93. May of 93.
So let's just say that was probably like, $700,000-800,000 today net worth, probably.
Yeah, probably would be.
Yeah, about double.
But it wasn't all in investable cash. I would have had to sell, some.
Yeah. So how much money do you need to retire and, just live a chill, decent life?
That gets back to kind of your historic budget, what your needs and wants are. Everybody, when you talk about budgeting and finances and making it go, people have what they call insatiable wants.
Yeah.
But we really only have a few needs. We need air, we need water, some sort of sustenance, maybe a roof over our head.
Yeah.
Unless you live in Las Vegas, you can get a box and go downtown. But
but I mean, if you want, in today's world, if you have, you're a family of 4, 2 kids. Well, I guess that if you're retirement age, your kids have probably grown up.
Yes, you should have kicked those people out of the nest a long time ago.
All right. So let's say you're, you get your kids. What would be a good age? Let's say you had kids young. Let's say you're 50 years old, right? How much money do you think you need to have in the bank to, live a decent life where you can go out to eat once a week? You can, you have a car, you have a house. The house may or may not be paid for. I guess that's probably a huge factor.
It is.
In whether or not you can retire early. But if you had to put a number on it, just throw it out there. What do you think?
But
to meet your basic
I would be
needs.
doing a disservice by throwing out a number because there are so many factors there.
Yeah, there's not a one size fit all.
No, not even close. I think it's based on where you live, your needs, what you're comfortable doing.
Sure.
The budget comes into play. What's your genetic makeup? Are you going to live to be 95?
Yeah.
And it really depends a lot on that. So,
are you planning on living to be 95?
Well, in our heritage, we have some people that live to be well over 100. And my mother lived to 98, and she was clear as a bell the day before she died. And her ancestors have lived into their hundreds back in the 1800s.
So here's a good question for you. So we have longevity in the line. So you have a good chance that maybe you live to be 100.
I probably do.
Okay, so. When, because this is something that I think about, so once you quit at 39, you got, your estimated net worth as of today was $800,000, let's say. How do you live off of your investments? And you've also grown, you've grown your portfolio since then because you're worth, millions now. But,
so you're saying what can we reasonably take out as a percentage?
Yeah. Like how can you live off of your portfolio and still grow it? Is there a number that you have in your head? Like a percentage wise?
There is a standard out there that people have used for about 40 years, and they call it the 4% rule. 4%.
What's the 4% rule?
It's saying that when you retire, you can very comfortably take out 4% of your assets per year. Okay. Now there are varying sides on that. Some people say, well, that's too much. If you happen to put all that money, this $2 million into the market at the time when it's heading down, you're not going to make it. And other people, there's another whole contingent out there that says 4% is too low. That's 1950s thinking.
Yeah.
I think 4% is a great place to start.
So 4%. So we'll use round numbers. So if you have $1 million in there, 4%,
$40,000,
$40,000 a year is what you
That's
can take
before
out.
taxes.
Yeah, before taxes.
And taxes are a bitch, so you got to factor those in.
That seems so little. So because you couldn't live off 40 grand a year, really. I mean,
it'd be pretty tough in today's world. Yeah.
So what do you think? You'd have to 4%. So you'd have to have at least $2 million.
I would say that would be closer.
$2 million probably for retirement age, and probably in another 30 years. So people who are listening, a lot of my listeners are between ages 20 and 40.
Right.
So they're probably gonna need to have $4 million packed away in 30 years from now to be able to live off the 4%.
It would depend upon the rate of inflation.
So you all really need to get to saving if you're not, or start making more money so you have enough to put away.
Right.
I mean, those are the two.
And that again, to go back to the save early, save often.
Yeah.
The sooner you start packing it away, the better off you're going to be. And it's that time value of money and compounding. And that's another thing I give most people when I deal with them. I say, here's a little chart. Here's what your daily Starbucks is costing you by the time you retire. Yeah. And when I show them it's $1 million, they go, "Oh, that can't be." I said, "It's math. I'm not making this shit up."
So you're saying a daily Starbucks could equate to millions of dollars?
Well, I may have exaggerated.
Okay.
But it's a lot, let me tell you.
Yeah. Interesting. So so for the people who haven't gotten started investing yet, is it better? Is it a good idea to use a platform like Robinhood? Do you think Robinhood's a good investment platform?
Oh boy. Can I get sued?
No, I don't think so. Just it's just your opinion. This is just your opinion of Robinhood.
I think Robinhood is kind of like Boone's Farm, kind of appeals to children or immature people. I'm not a big Robinhood fan. Just too many things I don't think are appropriate. I mean, if you want to invest, there are a lot of good online brokers out there, and the one that I used to recommend, I won't recommend them anymore, but the one I recommend today would be Charles Schwab.
Schwab.
Just from what I can see in excellent services, their fees are little to non-existent. They offer everything. And
all right. So let's say today after listening to this, you're super inspired. You have $1,000 in the bank. Mm-hmm. You head on down to Charles Schwab, or you go to their website. Obviously, is the easiest way.
Do it online.
Do online. Sign up for Charles Schwab. I put $1,000 in my account. Now, what do I do? Wait, if I don't know what I'm doing, and I have $1,000 and I want to invest today, what should I do?
$1,000.
Yeah, I got to get started.
Well, again, you got to remember, at your age, $1,000 isn't much. But if you save another $1,000 next month, that's $2,000.
Sure.
And the next month, I would probably wait until you have $5,000. Wait 5 months down the line, and then make 2 small investments. Now, if you don't know anything about investing, I would say go to the closed-end fund universe. Those are mutual funds, but they don't trade like open-ended funds.
So this sounds like too much for the beginner guy. I'm gonna go down and use one of the investment brokers at U.S. Bank. They'll take good care of me. Wells Fargo.
Well, they'll screw you over. Yeah. Yes, they will screw you.
How are they going to screw the person over?
Well, I can tell you 3 places to never invest.
Okay, 3 places to never invest. Let's hear it.
The 3 worst are the first one would be anything associated with a religious organization.
Okay.
Like Knights of Columbus, Lutheran Brotherhood, or whatever the hell they call themselves now. I think Thrivent.
Yeah.
Because they're horrible. They're horrible. And when they screw you over, they go, "Oh, but the Lord saves. He'll provide." It's always some sort of bullshit answer.
Okay.
Second worst people are insurance agents.
Okay.
Now, insurance agents, and I know I'm treading on thin ice here because of your occupation, but insurance agents are not, well, I have to be careful again. Insurance agents are not required to even take a Series 7 license. Is that too far away?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and you can sell insurance with a Series 6.
Okay.
And insurance people really are not destined. I mean, they're not the best choice to look at for securities. Now, there's a lot of insurance type products out there. They call them annuities, and anyway, it's just a bad deal. Insurance people, stay away from.
So stay away from religious investment groups. Stay away from insurance.
And the third worst is a bank.
Okay, that sounds like everybody.
Banks are even stupider than the other two.
Yeah.
And
so who do you invest with then? Like Charles Schwab, right? I mean,
yeah, but I mean, if you totally didn't want to do any of your own research, your own due diligence,
yeah,
and of course I do that because I enjoy that because I enjoy making money.
Yeah.
If you truly didn't want to do that and you wanted somebody to hold your hand and make those investments for you, there are a lot of options. But if I was someone else, someone your age and didn't know what to do, I would ask my group of friends, who do you use?
Yeah.
And if they say, well, I use Bob Johnson at A.G. Edwards or something, say, well, what kind of performance has he given you? Can I see 5 years worth of his performance?
Yeah.
I would say I would recommend talking to your friends and relatives that have had good luck.
Good luck in the stock market.
And then make sure that they aren't deluded into believing they are making money.
But what if you just use a simpler approach? I think you told me this one time is like, if you don't really know what you're doing and you don't want to get ripped off by the banks, couldn't you just take your $5,000, your $1,000 and just buy the S&P?
I agree. Yeah. That's probably the simplest no-brainer out there. Just buy the VOO, the Vanguard S&P 500 index. Pack it in, keep putting it there, and check the box where it says dividend reinvest, and check on it in 40 years.
So I'm gonna walk you guys through this so we can kind of recap. So if you are not investing and you want to start investing today, go online to Charles Schwab, log in, create an account, put in your $1,000, your $5,000, whatever it is. Search up in the top right-hand corner the ticker VOO.
Yep.
That's for the S&P 500. It's an index fund that mirrors the S&P 500. And if you look at the history of the S&P 500, what's it earn over time?
Well,
just like average.
It varies, but it goes up almost about 8% a year on average.
8% a year. You go up there, you type VOO, you buy $1,000 worth of that, and then next month you buy another 1,000. The next month you buy another 1,000. You keep on doing that for as long as you can remember to do it, as long as you have money. And in 30, 40 years from now, you'll probably have, a good chunk of change in there. But it's a simple
millions. You'll have millions.
If you keep on doing $1,000 a month, you'll have millions in 30 years. But it's super, super easy. Log online, go to Charles Schwab, VOO, make an account, buy $1,000 worth of VOO, and do it again next month.
Yep.
Simple as that. And you can make 9%.
VOO is Vanguard is known as like a very low cost provider.
Yeah.
There are probably 50 or 100 other imitators out there.
Yep.
But they're kind of like the religious people, the banks, and the insurance people. They want about 2 or 3%. And I think the VOO, probably 0.1% is what they charge for doing that service for you. So
yeah.
That would be my recommendation. And Vanguard, if you're making payments to solicitors, that would be me, Fred.
Okay. So I got a couple more questions for you here. I'm going to ask you about 2 other things. Mm-hmm. So you're like in your 70s now, right?
I am 70.
So knowing what you know now, right? You could go back and talk to your 21-year-old self today.
Oh my God.
What would you write to them? What advice do you have for your 21-year-old self?
I did do the save early, save often thing, but
yep.
I also made so terribly many mistakes when I was buying individual stocks.
Yeah.
And of course, that's on my laundry list of, what I'll never touch again. I'll never touch a commodity unless it's, trading well below its current value. I won't go near retail. I've got burned so many times. I won't touch foreign stocks, especially or in emerging markets.
You won't touch China.
Huh?
You won't touch China.
Absolutely will not go near
Never invest in China.
a communist country. I've gotten screwed over so many times. The company is so promising. They put out all this champagne anima stuff, and bam, because they're run by a communist nation. They can lie. They can tell you anything, and you've got no recourse. I mean, file your complaint with the Chinese Communist government. We're not going to get you.
They're going to give you a finger.
Exactly.
Or a bow. Whatever. So what's your one piece of advice? If you have one thing you can say to your 21-year-old self, what do you say?
It's so different now. And I probably told you this story too before, is when I started investing, I would go to the library and, get week-old news. And if I wanted to know more about a company, I would send for their 10K or annual report.
Yeah.
And then over the course of 2 months, I would take a look, is this worthwhile? And then you put that in perspective. Also, you didn't have online or immediate access to trade quotes.
Yeah.
You also had brokers involved that took 3 or 5% plus a fee. Today, you guys, anybody out there, has just a phenomenal amount of information and access. I would say that anyone with half a brain should be a multimillionaire just based on that alone.
Yeah, with all the information you have.
I mean, you press a touch of a button. You just cannot. I just can't. I'm talking like I was in the horse and buggy days, but it really is phenomenal. You guys have no excuse not to be multimillionaires. Absolutely none.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's a million ways to make money.
You bet.
It's easier than it's ever been.
So did I avoid the question again here?
I think it's in a roundabout way. You said what you should do if you're 21 years old today.
Yeah.
But what would you tell yourself that could change your life, when you were a kid? 21 years old, one-liner. What do you got?
The best life advice, career and otherwise, would be to keep my mouth shut more.
Okay.
Our family and me.
Yeah,
and,
so your mouse has gotten you in trouble a few times.
Oh, my God. It's cost me millions. I know it.
Know when to shut up.
Exactly, yeah. What is that old saying about it's good to keep your mouth shut, versus speaking out loud and showing everyone you're an idiot, type of thing?
Okay.
Just sit there and nod your head.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sit back and relax.
Yeah, that is my advice.
Okay.
Keep my mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut. Okay. All right. So one last question. Well, two more questions.
Okay.
This one's a whammy. Trump or Biden?
There's no doubt I would have to go with Biden. We have the best economy I've ever seen in my lifetime. I know you watch Fox Entertainment Network, and we have a different opinion, but I have never seen this many things hitting on all cylinders in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And I can't. I mean, as I've told you before, not that I need to make any more money at this point in my life, but when a Democrat is in office, in the top office, the market does better.
So Democrats are good for the stock market.
Absolutely. Okay. And the reason, unfortunately, which is the part I don't like, is the printing presses. So it's a 50-50. I'm not happy about.
You're not happy about inflation, but you're happy about your account going up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, last question. So now you've mentioned to me that you've started a couple of charities in the past.
Yes.
What's your most recent charity that you've started?
The most recent one is both of them. Two of them were for education. I'm a great believer in education. Mm-hmm. I think that education levels the playing field.
Yeah.
I mean, for some people that were not born with a silver spoon in their mouth, education makes everything possible. So I support almost all educational causes. The last one I started is for my hometown school. Mm-hmm. I think we have a population of maybe 280 or 300 people, but the school has been there since 1921 is when it started.
Okay.
That's the first graduating class, was actually in there in 1910. So we're trying to find ways to support the infrastructure needs the long-term capital type items for the school to keep it in business because, they're not in a metropolitan area and they don't have that many disadvantaged children. So the state aid is about 1/3 of what they would get, like, say, in the Twin Cities area.
Got it.
So, yeah, that's the current one, and we're being very successful. Prior to that, I set up another one about 20-some years ago. Same thing. It was to establish an endowment fund for graduating seniors of my high school.
Okay.
And that one, again, that's almost $1.5 million in assets now, too.
Wow.
Yeah, so somebody as insignificant as myself with an idea and a few dollars and some good investing habits, you can really make a difference in people's lives.
So if somebody wants to donate to either one of your charities, how would they go about donating?
Well, the one that just got on board is, we call it LEFSA, L-E-F-S-A. That's a Scandinavian bread. It's called Lancaster Endowment Fund School Association.
Okay.
And we're out there, and we've got the IRS blessing, and we're chartered by the state of Minnesota. So, yeah, we'll take your money.
So where can they make a donation to? How can they make the donation?
We actually have these. We still accept cash or checks, but they also have something called what is it? What is
Venmo, Zelle.
Venmo, yeah, and Zelle.
All
yes.
Right. We'll post the Venmo link in the description of this. So that way, you guys, if you want to donate and help kids in Minnesota, have access to a better education, then you guys can help donate.
Yes.
Well, that's all I got for you, Fred. I appreciate you coming on the show today. Any closing statements? Any last words you want to tell the listeners out there?
I have so many things I could say, but I think I don't want to insult any of your readership here. So.
Okay, you don't want to insult the listeners. Make sure you guys are saving money, or Fred's going to talk shit.
All right.
That's funny. All right.
Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Fred.
Right.